photo. Okay, good light is what makes a good photo, and oh, there we go. And special light is the essence and the substance of all good photography. Mastering light is essential in our journey as photographers. Added to that, you add purposeful composition, special use of tone or color, timing, resonance, and technique. And whale photography will give us all of these. Okay, here's a little video with just shows you some of what life can be like on the boats. Darling, hello. Hello. Going behind us, going behind.
You sneaky boy, sneaky boy.
Oh, lovely. So what are the challenges of shooting whales? Firstly, we need the correct camera choice. That is essential. Frames per second in your camera is important. So we need cameras that are suited to wildlife. Within the Sony range, the A7 IV will give you 10 frames a second. The A9 range will give you 20 frames a second on the electronic shutter. The beautiful new A9 III will give you up to 30 frames a second. The A1 will give you 30 frames a second in RAW on an electronic shutter. The 7R5, which is the 61 megapixel camera, will give you 10 frames per second as well. So a DSLR or mirrorless camera with full frame is the best choice for this type of photography. A crop sensor camera is okay. Smartphone is really okay for video only and doesn't usually work very well because the whales are about 100 meters from the boat. So just need to consider the number of card slots that you have, because you will use your cards up, and the speed of the SD card that you put in your camera for buffering. Buffering speed in between bursts, 170 to 170 megabytes minimum is what I usually use. This morning I was using the 200 megabyte speed of the camera. Okay, and also the camera weather resistance for water spray, because you can get a lot of water spray and a lot of salt there. Choosing the correct lens is important. A range of focal lengths is useful. You need a fast focusing lens, and as marine law in New South Wales requires us to be 100 meters away from the whales, 300 meters from calves, and 500 meters away from Migaloo, who is the white whale that everybody hopes to see one day. So on the water, your 100 to 400 millimeters is perfect. 70 to 200 is good, and 200 to 600 is great, but it's quite heavy, and if at the 600 range, it also reduces your ability to turn your camera quickly to capture the whale. When my photos end up in Lightroom, I find that usually my focal range is around about the 300 millimeters. For aperture, you can see here that f8 or even f11 is the safe zone for shooting in. F5.6 is okay, but I never recommend that anybody that hasn't shot whales before uses 5.6. I know a lot of people say to shoot wide open, but we've got a lot of challenges on the ocean because it's very easy to drop the focus. If you can lock onto the whale, it's very easy to drop it. If the ocean is moving, the boat is rocking, and then the whales are jumping. So you've got 3 lots of movement in there that creates a challenge for your camera to stay focused on. Only when you have some keepers from your trip out on the whales and that you're going home happy already, and then you want to experiment, you can try experimenting with a longer focus and a larger aperture. But I never want anybody to shoot wide open until they've got something that they're happy with. So setting your camera, yeah. So RAW or JPEG is fine. If you want to use JPEG, use a good quality JPEG. Before you head out, format your card, because you will take lots of pictures. Check your diopter, that make sure that you've got, that you can see through, that it's not giving you blurry vision. I like to set my ISO on auto. I've got a newer camera. Most of the newer cameras can handle an auto ISO without too much grain. You can see there's lots of grain anyway in a picture like this. Older cameras really around about 400 to 800 ISO, but when we've got the addition of the denoising programs these days, it's a lot easier to keep your ISO on auto because you're shifting around with the sun behind you or the sun in front of you. You're moving around at speed, and so it takes one of the stressful thoughts out of the equation at the time that you're shooting. Oh, there's no whale spot, Fujiko. No whale spotting. You could put it on birds if you wanted to, on the bird setting. The drive mode needs to be continuous multi-shoot, okay? Because if you, there's no point, sometimes it's hard to lock on to those whales very quickly as they rise out of the water and you don't know where they're coming out of. But also the moments of them rising out and then rising up and then the beautiful patterns they make when they're splashdown landing. I think this morning I was taking bursts of up to 30 or 35, 40 shots at a time, just through the sequence of the whales breaching.
Any questions, put them in chat.
Oh yeah, if you have any questions, please pop them in chat and Tim will pick them up and pass them on to me. We had a wonderful morning out here. We're down, as I said, we're down in Imagery. We're on our Whale Fiesta workshop. I've got 10 participants here and we've been out on our third whale trip of the weekend. And this morning we left the harbour for our 2-hour trip and the whales did not stop breaching for the entire 2 hours. I think we probably had about 70 to 80 breaches. We had 2 mums and 2 calves the 2 calves were having an absolute playtime all the way down the coast. So our cards are full, our batteries are empty, our faces are sunburned, and we can't wipe the smile off our faces today. So definitely a continuous multi-shoot day. Shooting is handheld on the boat. So best to put your image stabilization on. You don't need image stabilization quite so much when you're shooting at a faster speed, but I still leave it on. The auto white balance, I like to fix up white balance when I come back home, so I just leave it on auto on the camera. One way to check that your photos aren't going to be too blown out is to use a highlight indicator. Sony has a zebra system where you can see what is blown out and what is not in focus, but where the highlights aren't blown out. The other thing I do is often check my histogram as well, and does my histogram look nice and balanced and it's not too far to the right with too many highlights. I put focus tracking on. I keep the focus area wide because I don't know where they're going to be. And I recommend using back button focus as well because it's quicker to lock on for the focus than the half press focus shoot setting on the front of your camera. Shutter speed is a minimum of 1600th of a second, but normally it would be 2000 and up. This morning I was using 3200th of a second, way up to 5000th of a second as well, because that changes the patterns of the water that I'm getting. So that depends on the amount of light that you have, whether it's a grey day or whether it's a lovely sunny day. To let all the light into the photos.
Michael would like to know what about a monopod. I'm just telling you wouldn't take one, but you might like.
Oh, okay. So there's been a question in chat about using a monopod. You're definitely able to use a monopod. I have taken a monopod out a couple of times and just kept it quite short. The whale boats can be quite restrictive with the monopod is that that you haven't got enough space to maneuver it around. It is good to hold up the heavy lens. But generally it's another piece of equipment that you have to just here. Never check back on your photos, as exciting as it might be, because 100% of the time another breach is going to happen and catch you out. You just have to save that luxury until you head back home. Just never do that. Okay, so when we're on the whale boats, it's good to know where the whales are. The boats use a 24-hour clock. The stern is at 6 o'clock, the bow is at 12. The whale skipper will attempt to line the boat up with the sun behind you. You can see in this picture here that this is one at sunset. a sunset trip, and you can see the beautiful colors that that come up as well. I also use a mountable lens holder by Small Rig that I can put my phone on top of my camera, and if there's so much excitement, I just turn, while I'm shooting still on with the camera, I can shoot some video through my phone as well at the same time. Hot shoe on the top of my camera. Other things I bring with me are knee guards, because if I kneel down, I can get the whales at horizon level. Always wearing sturdy shoes, always bringing an extra jacket of warmth through me there, and a hat, of course. Always a hat, which I forgot today. Okay. So editing the photos. So I'm just going to stop a little bit, see if I've got any more. Oh, okay, let's go back here. Okay, so let's have a look at this shot. And this is shot at about 3200th of a second. I've got continuous focus on, and the camera would have locked on to the shot there. You can see it's quite contrasty as well, and the amount of glare that you can get out on the water with the amount of water being thrown around. But I just fixed that by going into Lightroom afterwards and just dropping the contrast down a little bit. So editing, basically this is a type of photography that if you get your settings right in camera first, you can, your photos require very little editing, but we can rescue an opaque picture, but we can't always make a good picture out of a poorly taken one. So I'm going to move into Lightroom. I'm going to move out of this and then into Lightroom and see if we can do this smoothly before my poor brain explodes with all the errors. So what I've got here is a selection of photos that I'm just going to run through and show you. So this one was taken this morning. You can see we've got quite... Yes, okay, we're back again. Okay, so here you can see I took this at 3200th of a second. This is about the average distance that you'll see the whales from, because we aren't allowed to, by marine law, approach them less than 100, closer than 100 meters. And we really don't want to get into their space as well. I'm shooting at f10 here, and I've got an ISO of 2000. That would have been an auto ISO. Move that out of the way. An auto ISO, and I've got a 300mm prime lens that I've been using this morning. So most of mine will be shot at that. I did earlier in the day take out, put my 2x extender onto the prime, but it works all right, the 2x extender. Anyone that's used the Sony 2x extender before knows it's got a bad reputation, but it's coming up quite nicely on the primes. So I put it on, and then it created, there was some sort of film going on, so I thought I'll just get rid of the 600 and just go back to plain 300. So here I'm just going to pull down the highlights straight away, and you can see the difference it makes in the baby's tail there. If I inspect this picture for what I call critical sharpness, you can see that it's not that great in that manner. And I suspect that was, yeah, not sure. No, it's not taken with the extender on. Let me have a look at my whites. Have a look at my histogram on the top as well. So you can see there's a lot of data in there. I'm going to bring up, let's get the whites a little bit there. The shadows there. Let's just bring down the blacks a little bit there. Okay, and that just brings him out. I might just drop that exposure just a little bit, bring out his belly. Now, this isn't a really excellent photo. I thought it was all right when I put it in here, and now I don't actually like it. So I'm going to move on from it. I think I downloaded the photos on the way home, and I took over 1,200 photos on a 2-hour trip this morning. And a lot of those with the challenges of the ocean and the people that get in your way and just missing the moment. I'll probably just have just a few keepers of them. Let's have a look at this one. So this one, I've dropped the ISO. I was experimenting a bit, and I'm shooting very fast f10, but because it was very glary out there, I decided to go onto a manual ISO. So I'm just going to use, I'm a big advocate of using auto in Lightroom to starters, and that just seems to give me just a starting point there. And then I'll go back and do all the settings manually. So I'm going to put my grid on the third always. Do I want the whale on the third, or do I want the mountain? I'll put the mountain on the third there. Tim will no doubt tell me to make it a square because he's a bit obsessed by squares, but I don't mind thirds. It's almost a square. There we go. You can see by dropping that ISO, I've got a bit there. If I pull up the shadows in the background, got nice layers there as well. Okay. If I check in on that whale, he's a little bit sharp. I've still got a bit of grain there. Just give a little bit of texture in there. I don't think I'll spend the time on this one. It's quite a nice shot. So don't mind this shot. He's got quite an action. I know this is a little female baby because I could see by her genital slits, her ventral slits in some of the other photos this was a little female calf that was bouncing around for us this morning. I like the composition where he's just crossing the shoreline there as well. So that's what attracted me to that shot. Okay, we've got a splash down here. Let's hit the auto button. See what that does. Let me hit auto white balance somewhere. Okay, there you go. That brings the color back with the auto white balance picker, just to mainly see what we could see quite well. So you can see how contrasty it is out there. I'm going to draw that crop in. I don't think any of these shots yet are hero shots where I want to make the whale. I don't want to make the whale the entire shot at the moment. Crop the buildings. Oh, I'm being told in the background, crop the buildings. No, no. No, there we go. No, there we go. Okay, so that came up quite nicely. These landing shots of the whales, they make the most awesome patterns and you get the most beautiful colors of spray come out. You can see from the histogram up on the top right there that just by dropping the ISO a little bit, I've managed to keep those colors back in, those highlights in check. Do I need a little bit of clarity? Tiny weeny little bit of clarity I like to use there. No, I don't think I want to raise the shadows. There you go. Okay, we could raise the shadows. There we go. And I'm just going to drop the contrast back a little bit there. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay. Oh, I liked this breach this morning. Okay. Bring it in. Let's do an auto so we can see him. This little fellow breached backwards at us. Okay. Yeah. Do I want him or do I want the layers in the background there? I think I just want him there, so I'm just going to put the third down there. I'm just going to crop that in and pull up the shadows there. Let's have a look at him. Yeah, it's quite grainy. I do like the colors. Let me put a color balance picker on there. There we go. There's the water change there. Okay. Then we did have red cliffs behind us there this morning, Lightroom. Yep. Okay, that's it. Hi, Michael. Yes, so I do crop in a lot in them. I'm very confident on the lens that I've got because I've got a very sharp 300mm prime. So that's my choice for cropping in. The 600, I've got a 200 to 600mm lens that I used to take out on the water a lot. And I'd also take the 100 to 400 out. The 600 gives me awesome shots when I land the shot. But because it sort of narrows the vision of what I can see and where the whale actually is, I was losing a lot of shots shooting on the 600 at the time. It's all right when you've got, like we had this morning, where the whales give us about 80 breaches, I think, one after the other, so we know pretty much where they're going to happen. But when you've got a quiet sea and not much happening and the whale launches himself out of nowhere, that is when with the 600 I was likely to lose it then. Okay, so I would have liked to, if I move, there is a denoise here down in Lightroom here. This is the denoise here. It's a lot slower than the topaz denoise, so I'm not going to put it in there. But to get rid of that grain, I'll just point that option out to you. That will take, if I run it in the Lightroom denoise, it'll take about 3 minutes to go through, whereas topaz takes about 30 seconds. And so for the sake of today, I don't want to do that.
So you took the 600mm out one day and the whales came and mugged the boat.
Okay, now move on to the next one. Okay, where's the next one? Okay, so one of the reasons why I put my camera on top of my my iPhone camera on top of my on the hot shoe of my camera, is that often the whales will come close to the boat and mug the boat. They're not doing it much at this moment in the season because the mothers are very protective of the calves. And yesterday, when we were out on the water, we had two mums and two calves playing for a while, and all of a sudden one of the calves left mum, and he came across and wanted to say hello to us on the boat, like come right up to the edge of the boat. And very quickly, the big mother whale came over and gathered him back in and shooed him back away. So often in the northern migration with the juvenile humpbacks and the males and just some of the mothers, we will often get a lot of boat muggings happening when they're going north, when they're a bit more relaxed and they're not so much on a mission to get back to Antarctica. And that is when, that's another reason why I stopped using the 200 to 600 as well, because when they come up to the edge of the boat, it's just GoPro time or iPhone time, really. You haven't got time to change the lens on your camera. And that little video that I showed before, right at the beginning of the session, where the whale just came up to the boat and then rolled onto his back and went under the boat. Like you can't even begin to shoot that because they're so close. And they're huge. They are huge, these animals. So I liked this little shot from this morning. I think he's looking nice. He does need a bit of grain. What it says, ISO 400, still at 3200th of a second. We're just shooting like crazy mad people this morning because it just never stopped happening. I really love the shape, the fact that he's jumping back towards us. Yeah, and I'm hoping I might be able to see his eye.
And he's not cut in half by the horizon.
Just lift that. Look at my my histograms being a bit more balanced there. You can see it moving that with the exposure control, dropping the highlights. If I drop the white a little bit, yeah, there we go. I can just bring more detail back onto his tummy there. Shutter speed that I use makes a lovely spray there as well. Yeah, can't do that. Okay. That's another one in the same series. I'll just auto him. Look at him. Okay, let's do an auto on this. Yeah. Tell this lens goes very pinky. Okay. Crop in again. This is one I'll just crop very tight into the base of the water there. Don't need much in the background. The background puts, yeah, but I don't want to make his head too tight in the crop. I want all of his body to have space to breathe in here as well. Oh, I think that might be a little male. Look how pretty the patterns was on his tummy as well. These two little black bits there as well. Pull down the highlights. Look at the amount of light I've got on the histogram there on the top because it's largely all light. Shadows don't need to be pulled up, but I'm just going to drop them down a little bit because this close in crop, it's all about him. I'm going to drop the contrast again just to soften that off a little bit. Don't need any texture clarity. Certainly don't need any dehaze. There. Okay, so let's have a look. Oh, let's have a look at this fella. Yeah. So this, I absolutely love this positioning. So I'm just using the crop and I'm straightening the horizon. You can see there, I'm just rotating it up on the top right there, or else I can use the little angle thing to straighten the horizon, just put one spot there, and you can see it was 1.59 somethings out of whack. And now it's back straight. But I still want to crop in a little bit because I'm loving his action. There. Problem here is that his pectoral fin intersects with the with the horizon, which is not too bad, but because, what have I got it on? Oh, I've still got an F10. Okay, would like a bit of blurred that out a little bit. Let's see if we can put up some shadows, rectified shadow detail from him. The problem with blacks, animals being black, is that when you try to pull up the shadows and the blacks, black is made of every color in the spectrum just about. So what happens is it pulls out every color. So you really have to be quite judicious about how you lift the blacks. Let's try and lift that black a little bit. Let's try and pull those highlights down. Pull the whites down. No. Oop. There, I'm pulling them back. I'm looking at the spray on his tummy now. Okay. You can see there's a very faint pink color on his pectoral fins. This is across his body. This is blood coming to the surface of the whales when they're being exuberant and flowing themselves around. That's quite normal. Let's have a look now. Oh, that's the other one. Okay, same one in the same series. Wasn't sure whether I wanted to use it or not. It's still that pack fin that just cuts into the horizon there that slightly makes me slightly sad. Here we go. Let's click an auto and see what we can get out of this. Yeah. Okay, let me put the auto white balance on. Put it into the water there somewhere. That's right. It's more the tone of the water that we saw this morning. I want to crop it. You can see my cropping, my editing is very simple, and it's meant to be that way. Other photos, if you're doing landscape photos, or if I'm preparing a picture for competition, something, then it's a whole different story. I'll spend very little time in Lightroom and a lot of time in Photoshop fixing them up. I could move these in and out of, often I bounce between Lightroom and Photoshop. Today's purposes, because I'm already having a horrendous day when it comes to screen sharing. I'm not going to bounce out of Lightroom anymore. I'm just going to stay right here. Okay, I'm going to drop those highlights down. Oh, that's brought the art up. I might put some, let's see if we can get some texture in on her belly a little bit. All right. Get a little bit of texture back in that water. There we go. Tiny little bit of texture slider. You see that? That just sharpens it up just a little bit there for us, okay? I wouldn't use that photo in a competition because there's a big bright spot behind there that's sort of ruining the whole frame there. And the water, yep. So you could, if I went and took them into Photoshop, I could get rid of all those bits in Photoshop, but I won't today. We could do some masking on that, but the problem with the masking in Lightroom is that you've got all the water spray around us, so it becomes quite challenging. Okay, here we are, pretty much into the full sun. So it's very contrasty here. You can see that. Let's up the auto, did nothing. So there we've got the whale in shadow there.
The rim lighting to highlight that.
What happens when you look into the sun there, although the whale's in shadow, you get a lovely rim light on the water. If you ever get a chance, as Kiko knows well, that ever get a chance to go out on a sunset tour out of Sydney or wherever home is, you can get beautiful pink sunset light on the whale, glowing through the whales, and that's something that we all aim for. Let me pull up the shadows and see what I've got there. Now, let me see. Oh, he's got his eye closed. See there? That's his eye. It's closed. Sometimes their eyes are open. I did get a calf yesterday, the day before, with his eyes open as he was jumping and staring at us at the same time. Okay. Highlights come down. Contrast can come down.
Desaturate the blue or not?
Do you want, Tim's, you want to desaturate the blue? Why would you? Okay. Oh, there you go. Well, a little bit of desaturation, that looks quite nice, doesn't it? With a little bit of desaturation. Yep. Makes him stand out a little bit more. Okay. What have we done here? Okay, so yeah, my ISO is 1600 now here, F10. I might let's move on a little bit. Here's a bit of a sequence of okay, this is the baby. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Got his eye open still. Yeah, let's give him auto. Gee, it's not coping with it. It doesn't want to.
Desaturating again.
Yeah, I'll just crop in first.
I think being a sunny day, there's a lot of cyan bouncing around and messing with the colours.
Okay, there we go. I like the layers there, the 3 layers of the midground, foreground, the foreground, midground, and background. I'm just going to desaturate a little bit. Yeah, I might just use the blacks to help him stand out a little bit. There. Okay. I'm going to put the dropper on there. I'll leave that one for the moment. Oh, so here we go. Kiko, are you jealous? We got today, you won't like this. Today we had 4 double breeches and 1 triple double breech with a fluke slap at the same time. So there's a lot of yelling going on the boat. So these is a pair of calves that had their mothers had allowed them to play together. And this is the girl on the left. Oh, I don't like my crop. See why I've kept the trees in at the top. Don't like that. It's too distracting. Okay, I'll go right back down. Sort of. Yeah, I'll leave them there. There we go. Okay, there we go. Pull up the shadows. Pull up the shadows. Highlights. Highlights are pretty good, really. I can leave the highlights on that. I might just check on the white. Lift up the white a little bit there. So it looks quite misty. You notice that it looks quite misty in the background. That is because there's a lot of salt mist in the air, particularly facing that direction there. So it doesn't always look crispy clean. Oh, so I'm going to leave that. Oh, baby's good. I'm not going to touch noise. Got those 2 kids at playtime. A little bit of... Tim wants me to desaturate everything. It's making him feel uncomfortable having too much blue in there. But I think I'm leaving the blue there, that one. Here we go. Another one there. Okay. Again. So the other thing you can do, there's if you know about syncing, so I've just cropped this one and I'm just going to highlight these 4 pictures here, and I'm going to sync them across. I've got everything that I want synced. So I just click synchronize and it will apply the same settings to all of the photos. If the crop is out, yeah, just... Well, that one's all right because the second whale's gone underneath. You just move it over a little bit. That's all right. It gets rid of that. That was a pole front there. Take it down. Those highlights need to come right down, don't they? Yeah. Has he got his eye open? Oh, he's got his eye open. Look at that. Yeah. Okay. Let's take that saturation down a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. Okay, and then that's the last one. Okay, here we go. Here's another double breech. Oh, so many double breeches. It was tiresome. So here you can see, this is one of the challenges of being on a boat. You can see the black shadow to the right there. That is somebody that has just crept into my frame. I was standing back from the side because I wanted to give our guests the best view on the boat. So there's no point in me trying to grab the space. So I had to shoot through sort of various things, and that I think is just the shadow of a person there. You can see I'm shooting very fast here, 6400th of a second at f5. So I was experimenting with f5. The weather had settled down a little bit. The wind had stopped a little bit. So I thought I was brave enough to try. I'll only do them. By that time, I'm smug at the amount of lovely photos that I've got for the day. So that just allows you to lock on. I don't think I need to raise the shadows there. Maybe just punch out the blacks a little bit there. These 2 babies having playtime. Okay, and another in the same. What have we got there? There. Oh, look. Okay. So I'll sync that one. I'll hold down the shift key, press the next one, and then press sync, tick all the boxes, and that will edit the next one format as well. Yep, to the same. And I can shuffle them around if I want to. Those little babies. Okay. So this is my last shot of the day. It's not a particularly great shot, but I thought I'd just put it in, because how many times do you get something like that happening? You get double breeches and a tail. And I think there's even... Oh, that's Mum's peck there. Mum's dorsal fin there. So that will make it an awesome photo for action. But in terms of composition, it's going to be quite a challenge to show everybody how special the moment actually was. So it probably lends itself to a bit of a panorama, I think. Yeah. Yeah. I'll bring it, shall I bring it? I'll bring them down a little bit. Yeah, that's right. And just keep some of the greenery there. Look at the waterfall on Mum's tail. I know someone in our group was anxious to get one of those, so I hope she did get one today. It's just beautiful. That's all to do with the speed at which they pull their tails up as well, and how much water they're taking with them. So this one is one of the mums letting the babies play. You can see them. It's just like a little playtime. I'm just going to drop the whites down a little bit. I need to punch up the contrast. Oh, I will punch up the contrast a little bit on this. That just cuts through the sea fog a little bit. And maybe a little bit of texture. A little bit of texture. Most editing changes in your program are done with very small increments. Don't go hard on the sliders. I tend to keep the framework of 30% change in my mind when I'm doing anything, especially working in Photoshop. If I'm brushing in something, I'll just use 30% in the way of changes. And that allows them to be much more subtle. Yeah. Yeah, look at that. Beautiful. Yeah. I might just crop that in a little bit from the side, see if we can bring that to the edge there. I don't want to crop in too close on this baby because I don't want him to feel squashed in the frame. There we go. Okay. And I think this next one's going to be our last photo. So I will sync this one, that over.
Let's address the expectation that this is a rare event.
There we go. Oh, okay. So you see, I need to move the crop. Look at Mum's tail. Oh, Lordy, it gets even better in the second shot. Okay, so that's a bit tougher here. Compositionally, this one is a lot tougher. You've got the mum's tail intersects the horizon, which is a no-no in good photography because it creates quite a distraction. You can't separate your elements. So she's right there in the middle, and the baby's nose on the left. There's sort of there, all three of them across the horizon. So it's a fail on that account. If I were to print the picture or something, probably I would use that one a little bit better. But Mum's tail is how beautiful. The other thing I was thinking of doing is while the kids are having an awesome time, this is really the highlight of this picture here. Because look at the colors and look at the shape there, and the texture of the water coming off the tail is absolutely awesome. So push the whites. No, I don't want to push the whites too much. Let's have it put a little bit of texture in that tail and see if that is, or you could go the other way. You could go either way depending on what your subjective preference is there. Clarity I find a bit strong, especially when we've got so much contrast happening out on the water. I tend to never use the clarity slider there. But I'll reset that one. Yep, just put that on auto, lift that one up for the moment. Okay, so I've reached the end of my editing pictures, and I'm going to stop sharing this screen and I'm going to go back to the main one. So bear with me. There we go. Okay. And happy to any questions, unmute yourselves and chat away. I'm so sorry for the ordinary start in the beginning. We're away from home. I'm working on a laptop. We're with a different system, and usually I'm working on two monitors at once, so it's a lot easier, but this is just the one monitor. Diane, did I see you had a question there?
Check your camera for video.
Oh, okay. Have I got it in here? Oh, I do. Okay, right here. This little thing is a small rig attachment, $35 off Amazon. Just going to put my phone onto it. Just clips on. It's got a slider like your own iPhone holders, and that bit fits into the hot shoe, onto the hot shoe at the top of your camera, slides on, and then I hate this. Let's see if we go back. There we go. And then I can just turn it on. So it sits on the top of my camera like that. and then I just turn it on, and I'm concentrating on, I just turn the video on, ignore it, let it do its thing, but I'm concentrating on taking my pictures because that's more important for me. So small rig on Amazon, $35. Okay. Any other questions through here? Cropping in a lot. The rule on using drones. Okay, so the drone, I might just address those. That's right. So the drone that I'm using is the Mavic 3 Pro. It's got a 7 times zoom on it. That was the reason why I bought it, so that I could get in close to the whales from up on the air while maintaining the legal requirements of them all. What we do that. And if there's not any more questions, or anyone wants to stay and chat or anything, then we might finish the session there. Thanks all for coming. I hope you enjoyed this Sony Scene presentation. I'm sorry about the rocky start, although I'm not going to apologize again. Our Bermagui workshop, the one that we're enjoying at the moment, that will be up on Sony Scene for next year's October long weekend again. We'll be running the same workshop. It sold out in about 2 weeks flat last time. And I think we're having a great time, aren't we? We are. Yeah.